Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's check out Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, running on Super Nintendo. This one's an interesting game, in that it didn't make it to the Pixel Remaster series of games, even though it is really an official Final Fantasy game. But it was intended for specifically for Western audiences. Because Square felt that maybe their more traditional Final Fantasy games might be a little bit too difficult to understand and comprehend for Western audiences. So they were looking for a way to make a Final Fantasy game that would work more towards an introduction to Japanese RPGs. Honestly, I think they did succeed in a lot of ways, and a lot of people find this title to be like a very nostalgic experience, or they really like it a lot. And some other audiences feeling that it was too simple, even though that really was the whole point of the game, was to be simpler and a little bit more playable. That's right, we can't put anything. We had to put something in there. Now, I do like the game. I mean, I think I've played this game a couple times. Back in the day. It's been a long time since I've ever revisited this game, so this will be interesting. My village is gone. What on earth is going on? This place is going to sink any second. Let's climb up quickly. Press the B button and jump across. It just throws you in there. You have a short American attention span. This game is for you. Look over there. That's the Focus Tower, once the heart of the world. An old prophecy says the Vile Four will steal the power and divide the world behind 4 doors. At that time, the night will appear. The prophecy has now come true. 4 monsters have locked the doors of the Focus Tower and escaped with the keys. They're draining the light from the 4 crystals of the earth, and the world is in chaos. The people are in desperate need of help. Yamurai, only you can save the crystals and the world. Me? Yes, you, Yamurai. Only you could be the knight spoken of in the prophecy. Look out, a monster! That is a big monster. Already attacking a behemoth. Yamurai attacks with steel sword. I mean, you can kind of see in the design that's actually like some smart choices are being made here. You know, your HP is represented by a visual bar instead of just some numbers / numbers. You know, you've got just a limited number of commands, but basically what you need. All in this, gigantic font. The music is significantly more upbeat and catchy. Well, of course, the original Final Fantasy tunes are also catchy. Don't get me wrong, but you can see that the tone is significantly different. Seems I was right. At last I found a true knight. But you said you were sure I was the one. Well, actually, it was more of a guess. Forget it. Just tell me where I can find the crystals. It's up to you to find them. This place is becoming dangerous. Follow me to the level forest. I gotta get out of here. Who is that guy anyway? There you are. Oh, what do you think I should do first? Save the crystals of Earth. See you. I know, it's so comedic. I'm just surprised that this is what, Square was thinking that Western audiences would need. Less of the serious fantasy and, something a little bit more lighthearted. That boulder's blocking my way back to town. Would you shove it aside? Thank you. If you want to go through this forest, find Calais in Foresta, and show her this. See, tree wither. Okay, potions. And again, simple. You just have locations that you pick to go. You don't have to walk there yourself. I'm Kaylee. There's a tree blocking the north exit of the level forest. I can chop down the tree, but monsters have taken over the forest and I can't get to it. I can help you with that. Come on, let's go. Don't you dare take Kaylee anywhere dangerous. Listen, Mom. Hey, that tree wither looks awful. How much the trees must be suffering. Okay, you win. Don't worry, Mom. Kaylee joined. My husband Mac forgot his captain cap. I hope nothing happens. Found the cure potions. I mean, in some ways it seems like the Square was embarrassed that this game exists. They don't really seem to acknowledge it, and it doesn't appear in a lot of compilations. Final Fantasy compilations. But I think over the years, audiences have really grown to love this game a lot more. Maybe it wasn't appreciated as much when it was first released, although I think it sold pretty well, if I remember correctly. I mean, considering the budget behind this game, it wasn't the same budget and large team that was making the mainstay Final Fantasy games. The monster can drain energy from a person. I'm really just a child. Strange trees are growing in the level forest. I mean, playing this again, I just forgot how kind of lighthearted it is. Can you save all 4 crystals? If you're tired, have a rest on that bed. I mean, I completely forgot that you could jump in the game and that it was, like, integral to the game. Again, the thing behind the game is, can we make it more accessible to a Western audience who's not necessarily invested in, all the, all the Eastern lore, combined with Western lore, and the large number of menus and sub-menus that Final Fantasy, had at the time. Thanks for the help back there. Take the chest in the back. Found cure. Yeah, because it's actually it's a quality game. I think it's still really well done. It's not as long as a traditional Final Fantasy game. The number of hours that it takes to complete it is half of what Final Fantasy IV was. Which was the only other game available, I think, at the time. Final Fantasy VI hadn't come out yet, and wouldn't for a few years. I've turned into an old man. I hear you, brother. Let me cut this with my axe. We've got to reach the north exit. Also interesting that they, at least by default, the computer handles your partner, and the game's only set up to have, you know, you and another character. Oh, that's really not that much. Yeah, listen to how catchy this stuff is. it's like so catchy and upbeat. Yeah, I mean, I think unlike most people, or at least most folks in the West, when this came out, you know, having a good time with it, but also knowing that it wasn't going to be as full-featured as a normal Final Fantasy game. But I think most of us were okay with that when we were playing it. I mean, we were just happy to have another Final Fantasy game. Or really just any RPG, since RPGs were, unlike today, you know, RPGs are all over the place. But back in these days, you know, an RPG, you'd maybe get 2 or 3 of those a year. I mean, look, I'm still dying. just on the first 3 enemies. Yeah, I hope Square reconsiders releasing this for a modern audience. I think a modern audience would like it. I mean, it does serve its intended purpose as being, you know, like a beginner's RPG. And, you know, there are plenty of new audiences that are beginner RPG players. It's not like that type of audience goes away, you know, as the years go on down. I don't know. I always thought they should have reconsidered adding it into the Pixel Remaster series. You know, because while, you know, it's officially a spin-off, I think it's still a very well done spin-off. And I think, you know, audiences now would appreciate it even more than audiences back then. I like that you can hit the button past the status messages. which you couldn't do in Final Fantasy II. I mean, you know, it'd have a certain timeout before the message finally would go away. I mean, do I even have MP? I don't know if I do or not. Oh, okay, so I have number. I do have... I mean, I technically have MP. I just have, like, a certain number of spells versus, you know, spells having much smaller denominations of magic points. I think if there would be a criticism of this game is that it's not necessarily that much simpler to play this game. Again, if you're a first time player and you don't really know anything about RPGs or not that familiar with them, there's still a little bit of an entrance barrier to entrance, even with it being simpler. It's like it's not like so much simpler that anybody could pick up and play it. At least I don't feel that way. You know, it's still got a bunch of menus you have to navigate, even though they're very simplified. I think your connection with, you know, having an action on screen, like you just missing, like there's still a little bit of a disconnect to somebody who's never played an RPG. It's like, well, why do I miss? Yeah. You know, why isn't that shown on screen? You know, it's just a bunch of still enemies on the screen. It doesn't look like they're dodging me or anything. This is the evil tree I was talking about. Wahaha! Surprise! He poisoned me, just as he did the trees. I think we even have visual changes as the enemy gets damaged. Kaylee, what happened? I'll be okay as soon as I take elixir. That's in the sand temple. Don't worry, I'll get it. Then take this axe with you. Received axe. I'll be back. Yeah, definitely a fun little game. Again, I think I enjoy it more now than I did when I first played it, and I enjoyed it, you know, pretty well. I think when it first came out. But you see, Square was always thinking of a way to make, to expand the Final Fantasy audience, to make it bigger so that more people would buy it and be able to enjoy it. Certainly not just with 16 and them changing it to be an action game. Even here, they were thinking, well, how can we break people into RPGs so that they'll enjoy them more? I mean, they even give you the this area to do a little grinding if you want to do some grinding. Versus wandering around getting random encounters. It's funny to know that even back then, in '92, they're like, maybe people don't like random encounters. And again, just that little bit of animation when the characters die. That again, that stuff didn't happen in Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 4. I don't think it happened in Final Fantasy 6 either. It's kind of funny to see this old art style as well, with these, this super short, fat characters. But they did manage to get some expressiveness out of it. Really just through smart art, a little ingenuity. Now we're getting to the point in modern gaming where the facial expressions, the motion capture for the facial expressions are becoming really, really good. Unless you're Bethesda. Then your facial animation technology hasn't changed for 20 years. But for other developers out there, they're getting really good at it. Double miss. Oh boy. And look at that, even back in 92, just retrying without having to hike all the way back to where you encountered an enemy. Unlike modern gaming, which seems to have forgotten this lesson. I mean, even Final Fantasy 16, you know, the latest game, it's like, oh, sorry, did you die? Would you like to retry? Oh, no. We'd much rather have you run all the way back from your last save point. Isn't that much more fun? No, it's not much more fun. What the hell are you guys doing? You determined it wasn't fun in 92. How did you not learn that lesson? 20 years later. Sand Temple. Looking for some cure, kid? First of all, my name is Myanmar, and I'm looking for elixir. I'll sell you some for, say, 9,000 GP. Well? Whoa, that's way too much. Listen, kid, this stuff is precious, right? My allowance is only 2 GP a month. Then let's do it this way. I'm going to the bone dungeon to find treasure. You can come with me and help. If I get the treasure, you get the elixir. Do I have any choice? When do we go? There's a battlefield nearby. Why don't we whack a few monsters there? Maybe win something, kid. The name is Myanmar. Tristam has joined. Our damn con man of a party member. Yeah, it seemed like this game its presentation is a little closer to Phantasy Star, you know, that rival RPG series at the time. Again, more animated, you know, more animation. The perspective is closer to Phantasy Star with that behind the character view. You know, seeing more animation in the battles. You know, animation in the backgrounds. Oh, that's right, you're still poisoned afterwards. I forget the debuff lasts beyond the battle in this game. Yeah, it's so interesting to think about like all the musical themes in this game that, you know, a lot of musical themes get recycled in the Final Fantasy universe, but you don't hear too much from this game. You know, making its way into other parts of Final Fantasy. I think a couple of these tunes do appear in like Final Fantasy XIV Online. Or at least, you know, some stanzas, maybe not the whole song. You know, I like the idea of there just being like a set number of enemies in the game or in the level. Then if you want to do some additional grinding, you just exit and come back in. Because then you can control the difficulty of the game, and if somebody wants to make it less difficult for themselves, then they can opt out of doing more of the battlefield and coming out and doing more of the dungeon exploration. Like, I thought there were a lot of smart decisions in this game. And again, some decisions which I wish they would have made and continued with in the rest of the Final Fantasy series. But alas, you know, was not meant to be. I'm sure there are some folks out there who only want you to enjoy the game, enjoy a game the way they want it played. You know, and if a game doesn't meet their own standards, then nobody else should get to play it. To play something different. I never really understood that whole gatekeeping mentality. I hear that with Street Fighter 6 too. You know, with the introduction of modern controls. It's like, you can't dumb down the audience for fighting games. I'm like, well, it's an option. You don't have to use it. I mean, I don't use it either. But, I'm not going to tell people that they can't play a different way that's offered. That's complete silliness. Just like I feel that this is a perfectly legitimate Final Fantasy game, even with it being, kind of toned down on its difficulty and its complexity. It's like, if somebody just wants to play something much simpler, then it's okay if that exists. It's strange that, if you don't like something, that, you have to wipe it off the face of the earth. It's such a strange mentality. There's obviously exceptions to that, but the themes here are, they're very, very friendly. I can't imagine anybody except for the most, delicate RPG player, being too terribly offended by this game. Yeah, I always thought it would have been nice to have a direct sequel to this game. Just kind of, bucking Final Fantasy trends like this game was trying to do. Just have a separate series that actually did have, that was actually serialized. It wasn't just each game contained in its own universe. I thought that would have been nice to do. It's a little harder to write. But a lighthearted game like this, you wouldn't have to necessarily make it a very complicated plot. Yeah, I mean, this does make me want to play Final Fantasy IV again, which I do want to get to that with the pixel remasters. door sealed shut. Well, here goes. Watch this. Aren't these something? I'll sell you some cheap. How about 50 explosive for 30 GP? I don't even know how much I'm making. Nah. Alright, I'll cut you a deal. How about 50 explosives for 15 GP? Oh. Okay, well, we have to buy some. Learn to use bomb. Yeah, I mean, I think it's cute that the birds are wearing diapers, but that also means you're killing, like, baby birds. I don't think they just, like, fully understood the implication of what, of what they were drawing. Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily like the bombs. I don't really feel it's better to injure everybody a little bit, because then they still have an opportunity to attack you. You know, versus being able to kill an enemy outright and having, you know, less turns go by, which means less opportunities for you to be damaged. And a small supply of ninja stars. Okay, we won't play for too much longer. I don't plan on playing the entire game. Unless folks want to see me make a series out of this for whatever reason. Well, actually, I guess you can't really get a hold of this game anymore. Since, like I said, Square hasn't really made it available in any capacity to modern platforms, or even to classic platforms. You know, with all those Final Fantasy collections they brought over, even for like the PS1, it's just was the game that got ignored. Critical hit, my goodness. It's too bad I don't have these. There aren't any shops around access to any potions. Okay, why don't we stop it there? This is audap watching Final Fantasy Mystic Quest running on the Super Nintendo. Yeah, I do wish this was available to a modern audience on modern platforms. I think a lot of people would really like this Final Fantasy since it is sort of pared down from a traditional Final Fantasy game. Again, I feel that RPGs don't necessarily have to be complicated. You know, they don't have to follow that pen and paper RPG tradition. It's okay if they're a little bit easier, made for a different audience, lighter in tone, that's perfectly fine. And, if there were more RPGs like that, that service a different audience, there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody has to like the more serious endeavors, I mean, there's a reason why, Dragon Quest has been going strong for so long, while sticking, mainly very consistent with their gameplay ideas. Although even there, the game designers don't necessarily like that, whether they have to keep doing that. Yeah, I wish I could say check this out somehow, but if you do have a means to play this, then I think you'll have a good time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.